Hey there, welcome back to the channel. It's Reid, and in this week's video, I thought I'd take to the comment section and answer some of the questions that you guys have had about Cochrane, Alberta over the past couple months. Now, I think one of the big questions, especially for young families, is going to be on the school situation here in Cochrane, and I'm going to touch on that one a little bit later on in the video, so please stick around for that. Now, the first comment is from Larry, and he's asking if there's any zoning for legal multi-unit homes in Cochrane, Alberta. Now, in terms of multi-unit homes, there is multiple condo buildings, which would be a multi-unit area. Now, I think he's more specifically talking about multiple units inside the same single residence in terms of like an investment property style. Now, Larry, you can drop in the comments and correct me if I'm wrong here, but in that case, yes, Cochrane does have zoning that allows for legal suites to be added to homes. And it is common to see some of the legal suites in the older areas where the basements are a little bit larger as well. And also some of the new construction homes here in Cochrane, Alberta are installing side entry doors as part of the pre-construction package in order to provide that option for buyers after the fact as well. Now, the second comment comes from Deborah, and she's mentioning the fact that prices in Cochrane have been increasing steadily over the last couple of years. And she makes the comment that it's because Cochrane is the next closest town to the mountains. And with Canmore's pricing being quite unreasonable, with single detached benchmark prices well over the $1 million mark, nearing almost 1.5 million, it is a very unaffordable place for people to settle down close to the mountains. So yes, Cochrane is the next town headed east towards Calgary from Canmore. Now, with Cochrane being only 45 minutes to Canmore and, 45 minutes to Nikiska Ski Resort, an hour and 15 minutes to Sunshine, Cochrane is a great place for people who still need to work in Calgary, but want to recreate in the mountains and west of the city on the weekends, and in the summer months, head closer to the ski hills in the winter and just make a very good middle ground for that location. So yes, there is quite a bit of draw to Cochrane being the next mountain town, if you will, before you get to Canmore, Alberta. She also makes a comment that finding some of the ranch style homes is slightly difficult. And yes, a lot of Cochrane's homes right now are new construction in the new surrounding communities, but there is still some very beautiful, older, more mature homes in communities such as West Valley, West Terrace, Riverview, and Bow Ridge. So if that's something you're interested in, I'd encourage you to look at those areas. Now, the third question comes again from Larry. He had another question, and the next question was whether Cochrane, Alberta had a college or university. Where he's from in Ontario, there is a college or university in his town, and he says it is quite busy and overrun with students. Now, Cochrane itself does not have a college or university, and the closest one would be the University of Calgary, about 45 minutes away. But Cochrane does offer a commuter bus if that is something you're interested in order to take that commuter bus right into the University of Calgary from downtown Cochrane. And the next comment here comes from Malcolm, and he's pointing out that Cochrane is great for families and, in his opinion, not so great for singles. Now, yes, if you're a single and you're looking to get into the downtown scene where you're going out to clubs and parties and all that kind of thing, Cochrane does not have a lot of that to offer. However, if you are a young single person and you're looking for somewhere that is a little bit more affordable than Calgary and has better access to recreation, because you spend a lot of time in Kananaskis hiking, biking, snowshoeing in the winter, out in the mountains, and you're just a more active individual, Cochrane is still a good place for that. And yes, there are less condos available and less places maybe for rent than in Calgary, which could impact a single person finding an affordable place to live here in Cochrane. However, if recreation and being outside and being more focused on activities versus clubbing is an interest that you have as a single person, I do still feel that Cochrane would be a great place for that. Okay, and finally, the last comment I want to touch on in this video, and this is the big one that I mentioned at the start, talking about the school situation here in Cochrane, Alberta. And this comment was posed by Simple Life Canada, and she's asking to talk about the fullness of Cochrane, Alberta's schools and the lack of a short-term solution. Now, if you're a young family and you're looking to move to Cochrane, obviously a school situation is super important. Now, the big thing to understand here is the school situation and how full the schools are is out of the town of Cochrane's control. Schooling obviously falls under the provincial budget, and so many of the small towns in Alberta are facing the same issues that Cochrane, Alberta is facing, with just a lack of provincial funding for new schools and schools seeing larger class sizes and less availability for new students. Now, there's two main points I want to touch on with Cochrane in general. One, right now, Sunset Ridge Elementary School, so Ranch View Elementary, is restricted to access to only residents in Sunset Ridge. And so with that, there is actually room in Sunset Ridge, as they've left the room and cap for the future expansion of Sunset Ridge. So if you have kindergarten to grade 8 age kids and you're moving to Cochrane, Alberta, I would really urge you to look at Sunset Ridge right now, because there is current availability in Ranch View Elementary. Now, say you're a younger family and you're just thinking ahead and you're like, we're going to have kids in the future. We want to make sure there's a place for them to go to school, or you have, say, a newborn to, say, 3 years old. Then I would say, hey, maybe your best bet would be to look in the Riverview, Willows, and Rivercrest area, because as of the 1st of March here, it was announced that the provincial government has announced full funding for construction, which is full approval to the new K-8 school in Rivercrest. Now, I mentioned those 1 to 3 age categories because it is going to take, 3 to 4 years likely for this school to come to actual opening day fruition. Now, behind me here, you can see this is kind of the step-by-step. We've got full funding from the province. That's step number 1. Now is going to go into planning and design and going through all the design approvals. Then it goes out for construction bidding, then finally construction. And then at the end, we'll see the school open. So it is still, a handful of years away for sure, but there is some future alleviation coming for the tightness of the K-8 schools here in Cochrane. And that'll just take a lot of stress off of the Fireside K-8 school as well. I hope some of these answers to the comments helped you if you're thinking about moving to Cochrane in the future here. And if you have any other questions about Cochrane, Alberta in general, or Cochrane, Alberta real estate, feel free to drop those in the comment section below. I'd love to help you out. And until then, I will see you in the next one.